I'm Phillip Daniels.
I'm Joe Cardoso.
I'm Jeff Barnes.
This is The Perspective.
And this is The Perspective.
Welcome to The Perspective.
Welcome to The Perspective. I am Jeff Barnes. That is, of course, AJ Jones. Welcome to the show. Super Bowl is officially in the books. Super Bowl LVII. Your Kansas City Chiefs are world champions. And what else can we say? I mean, it was an entertaining game. I know people, controversial to some, and that'll be talked about for many years to come. But tell me, AJ, what'd you think of the game?
Man, I got to be honest. It was one of the best coach games that we've seen in a long time because both coaches made the right adjustments, had great game plans. And, it came down to, just a few mistakes, crucial mistakes, blown coverages, not paying attention to, the entire play and thinking one thing was going to happen and then something else happened. And unfortunately, it cost them. So I thought it was a great game, very competitive. I couldn't be mad. That Kansas City did what they did. But, man, I tell you what, I feel bad for Philadelphia.
Yeah, what can you say about it? It's just, it's rough when you lose the big game. I've coached in a few of those. I understand. You lose in that fashion, and last second field goal. Been there. All of them hurt. Even the blowouts hurt. But nothing digs in your craw when you're this close. When the team is this much better than you, you say, man, listen, hats off. We busted our tail, but they just whooped the butt. When you are this close, there's nothing rips your guts out worse than that. And we could talk about these coordinators. They all did a great job. Some will question even the Eagles, the job that he did, the adjustments in the second half. But I think those guys did a great job on the Chiefs side. Of course, yes, I agree, Julio.
Yeah, I do too.
Give Eric Bieniemy a lot of credit. I know Andy Reid gave him a lot of kudos and attaboys after the game. Talked about his players. Talked about Eric Bieniemy. I think he deserves a lot of credit. People always talk about, Andy Reid. You got to see Eric Bieniemy coach his butt off this week. And the fact that we'll talk about that a little later about, the hires today. We'll talk about all that a little bit later in the show, but let's focus on the big game. So final opinion on that before we start to really, really dig into everything that went on. But I must admit, this is one of the most entertaining Super Bowls in quite a while. And, it gave us everything we wanted. We had some defense early, the big fumble recovery after the strip of Jalen Hurts, some big hits. We had some great hits throughout this game. Offensive plays. There was plenty of offense. We've already established that, right? So, what can you not ask for in this game?
I got to tell you, man, as a former OC, man, I really appreciated what Kansas City did on two plays. It was the same play. They ran it twice, and they scored touchdowns on it both times. So, I was talking with a college OC earlier today about it. Let me just tell you, you defensive coordinators out there, you're going to see that play again this upcoming year because everybody under the sun is going to be running that thing after what they saw Kansas City do, where, you send that receiver supposedly across the formation. The defense passed him off before he actually went across the formation, and then he goes right back to where everyone left him, wide open touchdown. They did it to the left. They did it again to the right. And they never ran it again because they didn't have to. They ended up getting the win. I thought that was phenomenal.
Indeed. And it's something that we've taught for years. We've always taught when that receiver goes in motion, you stay a step behind, right? Because he can always come back at you. And they've gotten so good at running the drive routes, the mesh routes, where they run those shallow crosses and pick you. And you've got to really work hard to cover that guy going across the field that DBs were selling out on it, right? So credit to Kansas City for seeing that on film, that the Eagles sold out on that, coming up with an adjustment for it. They set it up early in the game. They kept doing it. They would jump in it. Then finally came back in the second half and hit them so many times they couldn't figure out where it was coming from.
Man.
And it was perfect every time, and they were trying to switch off on it. They were trying to do a lot of different things to combat the crossing routes and saying, okay, well, if they're going to cross, Kelsey's going to come back outside. So we'll switch on that. I'll take the high-low. And they were guessing, and that's the one thing you can do as a defense is you can't guess before the snap. That's going to be one of the things that gets you in trouble. And it got them in trouble big time.
Yeah, I talked with the defensive coordinator, and he said the exact same thing that you said. He said you got to stay a step behind that man to make sure he goes where you think he's going. And then once you're sure he's there, if you got to pass him.
You accidentally muted yourself. Unless you might have lost the mic. Yeah. I still can't hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There we go.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah, I was trying to use my son is on me about my AirPods. It's like, son, they fall out my ears. But anyway, the defense coordinator was saying that you got to stay that step behind. Make sure he's going where you think he's going, and then pass him off from there. And again, the Eagles made that mistake twice, and it cost them 14 points.
Julio, you are reading my mind tonight because I was just about to talk about the pass rush in this game. Very little pass rush on both quarterbacks. I challenged, of course, Zeus Jr. We talked about him last week. Didn't I say they need him to have a big game, one-on-one, put him on the island, let him block. And boy, oh boy, he did the job. He was erasing people on the outside. Wiley was erasing people on the outside.
Right.
Those edge rushers that were there. And people, yes, there were times when they did slip on that field. All those guys that were saying, turf. Well, you got grass, and now we're complaining about grass. Football's not a perfect sport, folks. It just is what it is. But, yeah, I mean, those guys did a great job of blocking. Interior, every once in a while there's leakage. When you have pass rushes, no matter good or bad, there's always going to be every once in a while you get leakage. But the question is, can he escape it? The weight pressure, able to step up if it's coming outside. If it's coming inside, does he have a lane to escape inside of the end or outside of him if he comes crashing down too hard? So if you give the quarterback ways to escape when you have a breakdown, you're still doing a good job of protection. Even if that one issue you had, that one rusher get through. But they did a good job of limiting those guys. I think Mahomes did get hit a few times, but he didn't get sacked. And the one time they got close to him, he was able to, once again, escape up the middle and get out or run. So they did a great job, man, but they erased those ends. Those ends didn't exactly come around there and cause havoc. We talk about Zeus Brown with those feet. Well, them arms were working overtime. He was erasing people with them, So it was great stuff to watch those lines work. And the Eagles line wasn't bad either. We talked about Chris Jones. Chris Jones was a big presence on the inside run. He didn't get a chance to collapse the pocket much, right? So there was a lot of things that the Chiefs tried to do to get the Hurts, and he was able to escape. Same thing. Give him a lane to escape. Allow him to do his thing.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. In fact, the one play that I saw Jones make was on the quarterback sneak where he jumped over the pile and got a hold of Jalen Hurts. But then that momentum got him because the Eagles' line was lower and they just drove him back for that first down. But other than that, I mean, again, they nullified him with their game plan and with their scheme. But again, I got to keep going back to Kansas City. Okay, so that's not working. Let's do this. Let's try that. And they got enough stops. They got enough execution on the offensive side to pull a win out where if you didn't look at the score, you just looked at the time of possession, you looked at things like that, you would think that Philadelphia was blowing them out. They weren't. And even Andy Reid said, I just told him at halftime, there was no great speech. I just told them at halftime, hey, listen, we're still in this thing. Let's go out there and get it. And that's what they did. That's exactly what they did.
Indeed. So since we're talking about the game, we got to talk about the play that everybody's been talking about since this win. It's the holding call there with under a minute left, well, 2 minutes left, really, in the fourth quarter on Juju Smith-Schuster. That's, of course, broken the internet. It's made the news. It's a feud that's going on Twitter right now with those guys talking about it, and passing around memes and angry messages. And, so people were talking about, they shouldn't have called it. It was ticky-tack. Tell me what your feelings on the call.
So I got to tell you, you coached and you played at the highest level. Does it ever come down to one play?
Almost. No, it never comes down to one play. There's always when you go into the film, there's 3 or 4. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You ran 65 plays, and you're telling me that one play, as egregious. I'm a Saints fan. There is no more egregious call than the non-pass interference call against the LA Rams, where the defender just said, what the hell, and just blew our receiver up. There's no more egregious call than that. This was tough. The timing was not opportune. But even if it's a little bit of a hole, it's a hole, and the referees have a responsibility to call it. It's unfortunate, hate it, but it's what happened.
Indeed. And when I saw it and I saw the flag fly, I was like, it's got to be holding. It's too early in the route to call pass interference. Then they showed a replay, and I knew exactly what happened, right? He's running the whip route. He's in that trail position we talked about.
Yes.
Step high. Okay.
Yep.
Now, what happens in that situation is, if you are unaware he's running that trail route, when he goes to change direction, he's going to start to separate.
Right.
What you tend to do is, right, and if you watch the film, you're going to see it happen. Right. So when they first start to cross, and he crosses Bradbury's face, he uses his inside arm to get a hold, get his hand on his hip, big pass so he can't him down. So he's trying to slow him down. Now, had he kept going across on a drag 10-1, you could have probably called the hold. He would have probably grabbed him to make sure he couldn't get away from him.
Right.
But when he went into that pivot to bounce back out, right, now he's going the opposite way, and he goes, oh, shoot, my momentum's going inside, and immediately you go to grab with the other hand, right? Because when DBs, when we're out of position, the first instinct is to grab. It's our natural panic move. It's the oh shoot, I'm out of position move. Right? So that's exactly what happened. And he admitted it. He goes, listen, I'm sorry. I thought I got away with it. I didn't think they would call it. But we all do things as DBs, right, that help us get over it when we're out of position. I know even when you're in position, if you're running a fly out and you're covering a fly route and you're running even with the receiver, and this guy has enough speed that he could possibly accelerate faster than you. When you're running, you're bringing that second hand down into his thigh to break his stride, because you don't want him getting full stride and pulling away on you. So we have cheats, just like receivers have cheats, just like linemen have cheats. Everybody has a cheat. That's a cheat for us. When you start to cross our face to get that hand out there on your hip and say, whoa, don't you get away from me yet. And then when you go back, okay, I'm going to grab you as you're coming across, and I'm not going to extend the arm. And he extended the arm, and that's how he got caught. All right. So you see he's pulling on the jersey because the arm's extended at that point. If he's crossing your body and you get that hand on him and you get a grab and you let it go, they're not going to call that. Because you're not really impeding his momentum. But when he starts to pull away and you're still grabbing, they're going to call that. And then what makes it so obvious was it was the guy that he was throwing. Had they called this away from the ball, if he was going at the opposite way to Goddard or something like that, and they threw this flag, I would say, yes, that's ticky-tack. It had no effect on the play. However,
so
it was the man he was throwing the football to.
Yeah.
So somebody the man he's throwing the football to,
Somebody said it. A hole is a hole. It wasn't an egregious one. There it is. Yeah, Keith Richards said it back. A hold is a hold. And unfortunately, like you said, the attention was on that receiver because that's where he was throwing the ball. So I'm not going to act like I didn't see that hole right there. It's just unfortunate, man. But that's all part of the game. You still had an opportunity to get stops after that. You still had an opportunity to score after that. They weren't great opportunities, but you still had chances.
So to put a bow on this game, and I'm going to come back to this a little later because in my freestyle, I have something to say about Super Bowl Sunday. Eagles fans, you're going to hate me. But yeah, this is like I said, this is a game that I truly enjoy. Listen, had the Eagles pulled it out, I still would have enjoyed it because I was sitting there just watching, and I'm watching good players battle it out for the best prize in fall. And what can you say about it? It was just an amazing game. But speaking of the coaches, we had some hires today. And it just so happens that both of them, both their offensive and defensive coordinators, are offered jobs. Stryken gets the job with the Colts. The defensive coordinator gets the job. So there you have it. The Eagles coordinators, despite the loss, are coaches getting new jobs and new contracts and money, because head coaches get the guaranteed money as assistants get nothing. But lo and behold, there is still Eric Bieniemy hanging around. So let's talk about the hires first before we get to Bieniemy.
I mean, I can't fault him.
I mean, yeah. I don't. These guys did a great job. I'm not going to, like I said it on Twitter earlier. I don't fault these guys, right, for getting the job. I don't fault these guys for taking it. If you worked your butt off, you earned it, right? However, we're watching two guys who just coached in their first Super Bowl as coordinators get head coaching jobs off a loss in the Super Bowl. On the other side, you had a coordinator who's coached in 3 Super Bowls. He now won his second, and you're still telling him he's not good enough to be a head coach. I mean, what do we need next? I mean, what? I mean, come on. I mean, is it even? Can we even say this is not what it is anymore? Can we just say it? I keep hearing, well, the process, we're going to try and refine the process we already know is broken. The process is not going to get fixed because the decision makers are still making the same decisions. Regardless what changes you make to the process, interview 1, interview 2, interview 3, doesn't matter how many minorities you interview, you still seem to come out of it with, we want that guy, and that minority is still sitting there who's shown at this point he's our. And if they say, well, it's Andy Reid's offense. Well, it was Andy Reid's offense when you hired Matt Nagy. It was Andy Reid's offense when Philadelphia came calling from
Doug Peterson.
Coach in Jacksonville. Doug Peterson, thank you. Right? And they came calling for him. So what is the difference? I don't get it. Matt Nagy didn't call a play. You saw Bieniemy calling plays. I just don't get this process that we keep talking about. It's like I said, I have the guys that earn their jobs. It's really been kind of depressing to know that, plain and simple, every time when it comes up, we're going to talk about head coaches and it's going to go to the same guys. There's always somebody's assistant because he knows this guy, he coached under this guy. But we keep preaching the word meritocracy. How much more of a meritocracy do you need for this guy that's coached in 3 Super Bowls to be told you're not qualified enough? I just don't get it anymore. At some point, we're going to have to figure this out. I mean, we can go deeper into this because as somebody that's tried to get in through the programs, the pathway programs they have, the requirements for black coaches in scout is way more stringent than guys who are scouting that are black. So
Right.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
How you have, how it says they want you for these internships to at least have played or coached in the NFL is one of the requirements. There are plenty of white head coaches in the NFL who never played it down.
I'm just listening. You're preaching to the choir, my brother. You are preaching to the choir. And can I take it a step further? Let me be the rebel today, Jeff. Let me be the rebel today.
All right, go ahead.
Take the end racism stuff out of the end zone. You don't have to sing, lift every voice and sing, because all those things are for show. Take the little slogans off the back of the helmets and all that. Those things are for show. If you can't even get your own house to do the things that you're asking the community to do, then how effective is your message? If you can't get 32 owners to agree to do something, and then the general managers that they employ, then how are you going to tell me how to behave based on your end zone messages and the song before the national anthem and the little slogans on the back? Eric Bieniemy not having a legitimate shot for a job this long into the cycle is offensive. No pun intended. It's absolutely embarrassing to the league, and there are no excuses for the fan base. They don't get it. They don't. Most of them are just, excited to have something to talk about, excited to have something to troll. But the people who know that whole well-respected around the league and stuff like that, listen to me. They have got to stop. It's embarrassing. And the league needs to address its own house before they try to tell other people how to act.
Julio, I didn't jinx you guys. I'll tell you what did, but that's coming during my freestyle. I am not spoiling that. I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. I'm going to tell you that right now. But yeah, listen, seriously, I'm beyond it, man. I just can't anymore. I can't. I get tired of covering these cycles where we go through this and is he a serious candidate and he's made it to level 2 and before you know it, we're back at the same place. Or you get one through and like Houston, and it is gone within a year without any real kind of chance to do anything. It's nice to see Tomlin still there in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is one of those organizations that when they've got a coach they really like, they stick with him as long as they can. Kudos to them.
Yeah.
However, we've seen it with a bunch of different coaches. Listen, just look at Carolina. Okay, I get it. Frank Reich was your first quarterback. I get it. However, you fired your head coach with one win in the season, no direction. The offense was going nowhere. The defense looked atrocious. The team looked like it had given up. He righted the ship. And granted, your division wasn't great, but he got you in a position with 2 weeks left in the season. You beat the Bucks. You were one win away from going to the playoffs. And you're telling me that guy wasn't good enough?
That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. But can I mess it up? Can I mess the show up for a second? And you're probably not going to invite me back after this.
No. By all means, listen. You have carte blanche, man, to come back. So we ain't kicking you off if you say anything offensive.
I appreciate it. I think the two teams that hired the Philadelphia coordinators got it backwards. I think that the Cardinals needed the offensive coordinator from Philly because look at what he did with Jalen. Imagine him implementing some of that with Kyler Murray. And then granted the Colts needed an offensive-minded person, but baby, you solidified that defense in Indianapolis and bring in one of these young quarterbacks and give Jonathan Taylor the ball. Guess what? Now you got something special. But each one of them did what they felt like they needed to do. I just personally think they got it backwards.
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean by the hires. I think he can be all right in Arizona if he brings in the right coach.
That part. That part.
Yeah. If you bring in a guy that's going to get Kyler Murray's attention right away, get his trust, and get him to perform the way you want him to perform, add more pieces around him so you don't have to worry about him making 50,000 spectacular plays a game.
Right.
Get him to throw on rhythm, get him to hand the ball off and have a steady running game. You could do so much more with that team. I think they were still underselling what they did defensively. They did themselves a disservice by not re-signing Chandler Jones. He was a perfect complement to Watt. They didn't want to pay him the money. That pass rush fell off dramatically this year. Right. So it was one part of the reasons why they fell back so far. But on the Colts side, I understand as well. You desperately need to fix that offense. It starts with you're probably going to wind up drafting a quarterback. So you're probably going to want a guy who's going to be able to mold a young quarterback. You just saw it. Right. So I get it. And like I said, I'm not knocking the two guys that got hired. They worked their butts off. I can't say that they didn't because their team, look where their team was, right? So they worked their butts off. Yeah. Kudos. However, if they're good enough to get head coaching jobs now, why isn't this man a head coach? That's and when you give me a real answer that makes perfect sense, besides the excuses that we keep hearing, which don't hold any water whatsoever, they hold less water than a 25-cent paper towel. Okay, they do. He didn't interview well. He didn't. Dude, you've seen the man coach 5 years. 5 years, this team has gone to the conference championship game with him helming the offense. Okay, can we stop with this man can't get the job done? Now it's time to see if he can. Okay, and listen, I'm going to address something that people aren't going to totally like, but it's the truth. Okay. Part of the reason, right, black head coaches struggle to get jobs, all right, is there is a difference in personality, all right? Mm-hmm. These owners have a certain personality, right? These coaches have a certain personality. Sometimes the players with the draft, right? Mm-hmm. So, all right, so Joe, welcome.
What's going on, gentlemen? Good evening.
For a little while.
Oh, you're good, man. Keep it rolling.
Yes. Yeah, we're also joined by Phil. Yeah, so the owners have a personality type. The coaches have a personality type. Big Phil's in the house. So we got the A team together, all four of us. All right, yes, I'll be howling Mad Murdoch. I ain't got no problem with that. So. So, so sometimes our demeanor can be intimidating to people. People go, well, when Ed Reed got hired at Bethune-Cookman, why hasn't he coached in the NFL? Well, he did. He was in Buffalo. But the reason why he was Buffalo was because his former defensive coach there who knew how to deal with his personality. None of them other dudes that were going to look to hire him read personality. Yeah. Okay, a guy that's going to tell you whether he works for you or not. He's going to tell you whether you're right or wrong. And he's going to do it to your face. Sometimes it may happen in front of the team. So when you have kind of personality, it may rub off the wrong way. If you have a head coach who they think is going to challenge your GM, they're going to go with a guy like that they don't think is going to challenge, who's not going to cause waves. But you kind of need those checks and balances at times. Sometimes you need the head coach to say, no. I know you like that guy. He's not going to work for us. Don't bring him in there. It's not going to work. Because all you're going to do is going to get this whole thing blown up. Sometimes you need checks and balances. There are a lot of people who like to be yes men. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys who are going to go in there and say, I'm going to tell how it is. And as soon as they get the job, they are Bojangles in the room. Doing what you say, boss. Right? Because plain and simple, I got in the room and I got to stay here. So I don't know if that's part of the reason is maybe he has that kind of personality that like, yeah, he's not going to do what we tell him to do. We want him to do what we say. We want to pair him with this GM who's going to give him what he needs. No, give him the GM that he can work with to get what he needs. Not a guy who's going to tell him what he needs. Give him a guy that's going to work with him. Right? And I think that's what it is. And that's a bad thing because you got to be flexible. You're flexible when you want what you want, but you got to be flexible with hiring the right person to helm your team. And I think that's part of the reason they just will not. They get in the room with these guys and they may not feel the vibe with the personality, and they don't think it'll work, and they find every excuse to hire the guy they think will work because his personality fits what they want. And it is what it is. But you know what? You don't come from my background, so you're not always going to fit personality.
Right.
So that's something you got to get past. It's part of growing a relationship, right? We work together. I work with people with different personality types all the time. We still work together and produce. So I don't know why they can't seem to get that part right.
Jeff, can I add on to that if you don't mind with a real life story that we had down here in Houston?
Go right ahead.
Rick Smith was the general manager. Bill O'Brien was the head coach who felt like he was the smartest guy in the room. I'm not saying anything about him that I haven't said to him. So let me go on. Bill O'Brien wanted to fire Ryan Mallett on a road trip in Jacksonville. I think in Miami. And Rick Smith told Bill, you can't do that. If you fire him now, it's not like they're going to let us add a quarterback on the day of the game. We will have to go with our starting quarterback and then an emergency quarterback because we can't even activate at that time of the day. We can't even activate our reserve player. Bill O'Brien got mad at Rick Smith for Rick Smith challenging Bill O'Brien's authority. And shortly thereafter, Rick Smith was gone. Bill O'Brien handpicked the next GM, got him fired, and then became the GM and didn't know a hill of beans about the job. So you are on to something with that when it comes to strong brothers who have their own knowledge, their own yes, their own amen. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. They're going to tell you you're wrong. If you're right, then they will support you. Bill O'Brien didn't like being challenged by Rick Smith. Didn't like it at all.
Absolutely right. It happens within our own. We saw it, like I said, with the Bethune-Cookman situation. It's happened in other situations as well. It happened at Grambling, well, I was gone at that point, but it happened at Grambling during Doug Williams' second tenure, where they didn't like the legends, as they call them, telling them what to do with the money, and we don't want anything with you guys. And when you challenge, when people in charge feel that you challenge them in some way, that's part of the problem. And you don't have to be, it doesn't that you're challenging them. You just have a stronger personality than they're used to being around, so that's part of the problem. And right there it's just that situation where I'm thinking why they keep saying he doesn't end well, because the attitude they get from him doesn't make them believe that he's going to be the guy that they can work with. He's going to be the guy that's going to manage the room. But sometimes you need a guy in the room because the room ain't always right.
Right.
Yeah, I think the other day when they had a media day before the Super Bowl, and Jim Trotter, who I think is one of the best in the business, had an opportunity to ask Roger Goodell a question. And he asked him, hey, I asked you last year at the Super Bowl, what are you going to do as far as progress goes in hiring minorities and coaching? And also he's like, I work for the league, and there isn't a black person in charge of the newsroom or in a high position in the newsroom yet. What do you have to say for that? And of course, Roger kind of looked at him, stumbled and bumbled a little bit. Well, I'm not in charge of the newsroom, and I don't have those stats in front of me. Excuses that we're all used to hearing. And then he said, but I do feel like major progress has been made. And I'd have to ask, if I was Jim Trotter, I would have followed up with what progress? Can you please let me know where that progress is? And you could see, as Roger was answering the question, Jim Trotter was doing everything but smiling at the responses. But I mean, it's just the same song and dance that unfortunately we're used to hearing. And all you can do is keep on banging on the door and hope one day the door gets kicked open and stays open.
Yeah, and Goodell's response was typical I'm not in charge of that, distancing myself from the situation, right? I'm the commissioner. I don't handle that. No. But you're the National Football League and NFL Network bears your name. You want it to have the same diversity and standards that you have in your league. It's supposed to represent your league, right? So so right now it technically does, because the places of hierarchy don't represent, what's represented in the league, right? So you cover a league full of mostly black players. Very few. You got a lot of black analysts. You got a lot of black, reporters. You don't have any people running the newsroom that are black. You don't have, other than MJ Acosta Ruiz, right? Who's a person of color. That's all you got. Right? All your shows, most of the hosts are white. That's pretty representative league is, right? We only have 4 black head coaches, 6 coaches of color total, right? So it's pretty close to the standard, Roger. So you really need to look at, you know what? We may not run NFL Network, but it's more inclusive, just like we're hoping to make this league inclusive, although we haven't gotten that part right either.
Yeah, not surprised. Sad, but not surprised.
Yeah, well, there is the officiating issue, which that's never going to change, folks. I'm sorry. If you go to a Pop Warner game, fully officiated games, you go to some high school games, you'll see some. You go to college games, you'll see some. Listen, when you have bad officials teaching other officials, you're going to get bad officiating no matter what level it's on.
Right.
You hate to see it, but it's just is what it is. And nobody's more absolute than officials. You can't ever question an official.
Now I know you guys.
Occasions.
I know you guys. I know you already talked about the Super Bowl, but I have to just want to make sure I get my point across. That, of course, that pass interference call you can say was a weak call, but to me that didn't determine the game. There was a lot of other things that the Kansas City Chiefs did that got them in position to win that football game. And let's say that call's not made. Okay, you kick a field goal, you take a 3-point lead. Now you're giving Jalen Hurts, who played outstanding, don't get me wrong, but still, that's a real pressure cooker situation. You got one timeout, you got 1:57 left to either tie or go for the win. Not saying he couldn't have done it, but I'm just saying that penalty to me was not the end-all, be-all of that game. If the Eagles' defense had shut down the offense of the Chiefs and not let them take the ball up and down the field consistently in the second half like they did, we wouldn't be having that conversation about KC being champs.
Joe, we agree with you 100% on that, sir. Without any doubt, we agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, a lot of people on social media.
Defense
that's the game. That was the
wins
game.
Championships, right?
There you go. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm here. I got it worked out.
Never a doubt.
Like a Verizon commercial.
Hey man. I got
floor is yours, man.
Well, at least I got the computer issues fixed. So hopefully, it was my modem. My modem was going out on me last week, but I'm here now, man. And so I know you guys covered the Super Bowl, man. And I'm looking at that game, man, and just seeing how poorly the Eagles' defensive line played in that game. Man, I went back and watched a bunch of clips from that game, and these guys were just out of fits. They were like in the wrong gaps. They were jumping out of gaps, like 2 gaps over. They were just getting manhandled up front. I ain't gonna say manhandled. I'm gonna say they were just doing things to kill themselves up front, man. There was so many plays where I saw guys not where they're supposed to be. That 3rd and 3 play, the 3 technique should be in the 3 technique and turn it back inside to the linebacker, and he's peeking inside and they run outside of him. So there's so many things that they did wrong as a defensive front in this game. 0 techniques over the center, man. They didn't knock this guy back not one time. No hands, no coming out the ball and being physical. They were just seemed like they were just going through the motions at times, And my thing is, like Joe was saying, it was so many things in this game, man. And that one call did not hurt them. It was the fumble for a touchdown. That always kill you when you give up points on a fumble. And then it's also that punt return down inside the 5. You give Mahomes a short field like that, they're going to score a touchdown. So it was so many other things that happened in that game. I watched those clips, man, and it was disappointing, man, to see how bad and how poorly they played, man. And I even went as far to break some of those down on my Facebook page, and people were like, "Wow!" Normal people wouldn't see it, but it was bad, man. It just they didn't show up. The D line didn't show up. It was a poor excuse for how you play defense, especially in a big game like that. And I just feel like they had an opportunity there to go do some great things. They had a lead at halftime, and they just didn't come out in the second half and stop the run game. And how many times have I said on here that sacks, you can have all the sacks in the world. You can have 70, 80 sacks. I don't care how many you have. But if you can't stop the run in big games and you can't run the football, you just can't win. It's tough. You make it hard on yourself. If you can do those things, you give yourself a better chance to win games. And that's something they didn't do the whole game. I mean, they couldn't stop Kansas City. Andy Reid, kudos to him and Bieniemy. They came up with a great game plan for them. And they knew that they were undisciplined in their gaps. So all those plays that we saw, all those runs that we saw was misdirection runs, counters, those kind of things to get them out of their gaps, peeking, and they would hit the holes and gain 15, 16 yards. So it was just one of those. It's a great game plan by them. They took some of the stuff that happened to them during the season on those screens. They ran screens, they ran those motions, and threw touchdowns on those. It was just a lot of things. They really did their homework and studied that defense and came up with a great game plan. And I just feel like when I said this last week, I said going against Andy Reid, you better come with your A game, because that dude is one of the best play callers in the league. Him and Bieniemy, they put it together, they got it done. And I keep saying it till my face turn blue. When you playing in the playoffs, you playing in the Super Bowl, you better stop the run game and you better come run the ball. Well, Philly running backs didn't even show up. Hurts got a lot of his yards off scrambles and stuff like that. But you don't need your quarterback to be the leading rusher. You need your running backs to run the ball and do that. So it was a lot of things in this game that went wrong for Philly. It was a good game. You think about it, they could erase that fumble for a touchdown. They can erase that kick, that punt return that they had there. I mean, they still in this game. They probably win it if they erase those things. So it was just so much, guys. And but kudos to Kansas City. Congratulations on winning the Super Bowl. And I don't think this is the last we'll see of Philly. I mean, they still got a good team, but I know they got some contracts they got to work out this offseason. So my thing is, they'll be back. They'll be strong. But they lost a golden opportunity in this game.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And you've been running the show for the last 2 weeks, Jeff. But so by all means, man, keep it rolling, brother.
Thank you very much. So we were talking about the two coordinators that got hired. I know when you guys walked in, Phil, what is your feeling on not only those two guys getting their head coaching jobs, but getting left out?
It's sad, man. We done went through this over and over again. It's been 4 years now that Bieniemy hadn't got a job. It's sad, man. It's downright sad. The guy has been to all these Super Bowls. He's been to the AFC Championship game all these years. He's pretty much had the number one offense almost every year, and he still don't get an opportunity to be a head coach anywhere. I just think it's sad, man, that this is happening to him and nobody giving him that opportunity. My thing is, man, I can't call it. I don't know what they're looking for anymore. But at the same time, I know that he's been great for Kansas City. He's done a hell of a job. Andy Reid even said after the game that he called a great game, which tells you that he did call the plays, did put some of that stuff together. I don't know what they're looking for anymore, man. Just because guys are on winning team, a Super Bowl team, a team that got the Super Bowl, that don't make you a good head coach. You got to do your homework. You got to think about these coordinators that have been around for a long time, that's done it every time. I mean, look at Bieniemy. He's done it every year. Every year he's done it, and he still don't get that opportunity. It's just sad, man.
I'm with
Couldn't
you.
agree more.
Me and AJ vented on that for about a good while on, man, and there's no tangible excuse anymore. There isn't. Short of Jesus himself coming down and blessing me with an answer that I will leave, There's no believable answer. It is what it is. All right.
You know what? I've come to the conclusion. I've come to the conclusion that maybe it's a misconception of who called the plays in Kansas City, and it's time for maybe Bieniemy to try to go somewhere else and be a coordinator somewhere else to show his true play calling abilities. You know what I'm saying? Because as long as he's in Kansas City, everybody gonna always believe that Andy Reid's calling the plays, and that hurts him in so many ways. So he may have to leave to show his true worth, and then maybe after that he'll get that opportunity.
I got a team he can come to.
Anywhere but Washington. Anywhere but Washington.
Oh, man.
At least not before the sale. Not before the sale.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Don't count it out.
Yeah, we touched on
hold on real quick.
We touched on this in
the
NBA chat earlier, but
what do you say now, AJ?
Don't forget the rumor I threw out there last week that Bieniemy's gonna hang around Kansas City until Andy retires and gets the job there.
That wouldn't be. I don't think that's far fetched at all.
I was gonna say it's seeming more and more plausible.
He'll do that. Knowing his luck, he'll do that, and then all of a sudden, Steve Spagnuolo is still there, and they give him the job because he was a head coach.
Man, could you imagine?
No.
Would that not happen? I mean, can we not see something like that happening? Listen, I think people would riot everywhere, but nevertheless, stranger things have happened.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, true.
I'm just saying.
I mean,
it's funny.
I got that coach Chicago. He's there as a quarterback coach too, right?
Yeah.
Good point.
Matt Nagy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's another thing, right? So Bieniemy's left out of the cycle. These two guys get head coaching jobs. Looking for coordinators. I know an offensive coordinator who won the Super Bowl just got fired and can't get a job. Kellen Moore got fired, got a job the next day. Right? Byron Leftwich still out there looking on the unemployment line.
True.
That's sad. I even forgot about him already.
How'd that work out? I mean, how's a guy who leads his team to a Super Bowl on the unemployment line? What a damn thing. Gets a job the next day after he got released by a team. They told him, no, we don't need your services anymore. Gets a job. Come on, man.
That's wild.
Explain the logic behind that. I don't get any logic there. If there's a tangible answer, I can't find it because I'm trying to find a tangible answer for that other than what it is called a lack of melanin.
And that's the thing, Jeff. You're trying to make sense out of stuff that doesn't make sense. It does not make sense.
But
not at all.
You know, you hate to say it. You hate to be the one saying it. But, you know, and we say in court, you got to follow the evidence, right? Well, the evidence is pointing in the evidentiary room saying this is a factor.
Yeah. True story.
Man,
that's a good point, though.
Malcolm X at the end of this.
That's a good one.
It is the right month, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, y'all making good points because how do the guys that didn't win the Super Bowl, both coordinators, get jobs, and Bieniemy, who won the Super Bowl as a coordinator, don't get one? It don't make sense. It just don't make sense.
Two time. Been there 3.
Yeah, exactly. Hey.
Definitely. All right. So let's jump to the freestyles. Right. You know, we're gonna go commercial free for the last show of the season, of the regular season in the playoffs. And you know, we'll be back in 2 weeks. You know, for everybody, we're not going away. We're not going into a nice long hiatus. We are going to be around during the off season. We'll be doing 2 shows a month, so we will be around, and then we will disappear with the players in June with that 5-week vacation period where everybody can see their guys coming on the police blotter. All right, so that would be our vacation time.
You ain't right, man.
Right, we'll be here. We'll be here. Hey, man, listen, I'm stating it. Phil, isn't that not the case? During those 5-week period, you better please trouble. Don't fail no drug tests. Don't get in trouble. You go home, enjoy your family for 5 weeks, and come back. Isn't that what isn't that the speech that everybody gets before they?
Right, that's the speech. That's the speech.
Go to Cabo, come back, fail a drug test. 3 weeks later, whoop, arrested for domestic violence. Tell these dudes not to do that.
Just tell you
every year.
Don't drink the brown. Don't drink the brown. Stick to the light. Don't drink the brown.
You know what they needed? That coach should not be that should not be delivered by a coach. That should be delivered by somebody's mom. Somebody's mama should come in the locker room and deliver that to them before they leave. Because it usually has a different effect when mama says it. And your coach tells you to do it, you're gonna go out there and do some stupid stuff. Your mama tell you to do it, you ain't gonna do it. So, but it's freestyle time. I've run my mouth enough so far. Who want to go first, man? I'm gonna go last because I got to spit as an Eagle fan, so I want to go last on this one. But who's gonna go first? That's the question. Who's gonna go first?
I'll go first.
You know what, Joe? Since I'm in the host chair, I'm throwing you out there.
Oh, nah, Phil said he wanted to go. Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead, Phil.
Okay, I'm gonna get back on. I'm gonna get back on the subject of the referees. Every Eagle fan out there right now, they're mad because that last call, the holding call. Well, early in that game, there was a holding call, several calls that wasn't called. They did not call them. And so I've been in that situation before as a player where I got held early in the game. They wasn't calling nothing. We were playing Dallas. And I went to a referee school the off season before. So I knew who was supposed to be making the calls. So I got held the whole game. I mean, it was awful. The whole game for almost all 4 quarters until the last drive of the game. The last drive of the game, I came around the edge. I got held. 3rd down, they caught the ball for a 1st down. And there was less than 2 minutes on the clock, and they finally threw the flag. And I got the call. So that's exactly what happened in the game. They didn't call the early flags. They didn't throw their holding calls early. Those guys kept complaining, and now they got eyes on them. They had eyes on them. So every time they ran a route later in that game, the later that game got, the more they complained, the more that they looked at them and made sure that they were coming off the line of scrimmage clean. And that's exactly what happened. So everybody want to say, that it was a bad call. They were still in field goal range. I don't think he was going to miss that. They were still in field goal. Even though he missed one earlier, he had already missed his for the game. And he's a good kicker. But I don't think he was going to miss that. He was already in field goal range. But the thing is, everybody want to complain about that one call when you had a fumble in the game for a touchdown, when you had a punt return for down inside the 10-yard line. You had so many things going on in that game that still could have allowed you to win the game. It just didn't happen. So, and everybody complained about the field conditions. Well, it's bad for both teams. The field conditions was bad for both teams. When you have field conditions like that, when you slipping and sliding everywhere, whereas as defensive linemen, it's time to go speed the power, knock guys back, because you can't get on the edge without slipping down. Whether they painted the field or whatever, but it's equal playing field for both teams. Both teams going through the same thing. Now it comes down to wearing the proper shoes. Go get the proper shoes, get the proper studs in there so that you can dig in and you don't have to worry about falling down and those things. So it's bad for both teams, guys. So I hate when people complain about stuff that should have been like it was a holding call. He came out and said it was a holding call. Okay, the field was bad. Yeah, it was bad for both teams. So I hate when people complain about that kind of stuff. None of the Eagles are complaining. I don't hear none of their players and saying anything about it. It's just the fans and the people that's out there watching the games. So, man, don't take away from the Super Bowl because of those things, the holding call, which was a holding call. He said it was, and also the field conditions, which was equal for both teams. Kansas City just won the game flat out, and the Eagles didn't play well enough to win it. They made so many mistakes. Like I just pointed out, some for the D-line, they didn't play well. And some other things didn't go right for them. But it was a good game, and it could have went either way. And I'm pretty sure the Eagles will be back again, and Kansas City will be back again. They're still two good teams, and it was great. And the halftime show was wonderful. Even though she's pregnant and she couldn't move around like she wanted to, it was wonderful. So just appreciate the game for what it was and stop complaining about all the little things.
I agree with all of that.
I'll go ahead.
And then some.
I'll go second. I'll go second this week because I haven't been on a while. So for me and my freestyle, we do a lot of debating. Who's the GOAT, greatest of all time? We do a lot of comparisons, this person versus that person. I just think for us as football fans, you need to realize what's going on right now. That's it. We're entering a new age. I even say a golden age of quarterback play in the NFL. You think about the Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrows, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, who put an entire team on his back, and he for damn sure didn't lose that game for the Eagles. Patrick, but there's so many great quarterbacks in the NFL right now. You just got to recognize it and appreciate it. Don't waste your time with Tom Brady in year 4, 3 for 3. Don't do that. Live in the moment and enjoy what you got now. There's a lot of franchises that, barring injuries, have guys that are going to be lining up under center for the next 6, 8, maybe 10 years. Who knows? And these old dogs, the Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady's gone. Even a Derek Carr is kind of getting there up in age. Their time is winding down or it is over. And we just got to embrace these new young cats, enjoy it, and just watch them work.
All right. AJ, you're up.
I got to tell you, man, that Super Bowl was so good to me. Like I said, it's one of the best coached Super Bowls that I've seen in a long time, where you can see the adjustments being made. You could see them working, and even when they didn't work, they made adjustments to the adjustments. I am so excited after that game to get to September of this year, so we kick it off again, because I'm like Joe. I want to see these young quarterbacks go at it again. I want to see the new young quarterbacks that are going to be coming in the league. I want to see where Bryce Young is going to end up. It might be here in Houston. I want to see where C.J. Stroud is going to end up. It might be here in Houston. It was such a great year with a great finish. It already has my mouth watering for next September.
And Jeff, bringing it home.
Eagles fans.
I think you're muted.
This is for you.
There you go.
Eagles fans, this is for you. All right, I'm going to lose the headset for this, right?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
This game was one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a long time. Offense, defense, special teams. We had some mistakes. We had some crazy plays. But the ending left you with a bad taste in your mouth. Well, how about the beginning left a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouth, and it's thanks to Eagles fans. You see, before the game, they brought out the new Walter Payton Man of the Year, Dak Prescott. And Eagles fans found it amongst themselves to go out and say, do what Eagles fans do. We boo for everything, right? So we're going to boo the guy who just got one of the humanitarian award for the league, basically. This is for being a good guy. This ain't about quarterback play. This ain't about the team he represents. This is about him doing the right thing for the average Joe, meaning you. And you decided to piss on his parade. So you boo him. Well, God don't like ugly. So while you're upset about this penalty,
wow,
right? Eat it. Grill it up and eat it. Because you know what? Karma is a beat. And I usually don't bring my fandom out, but I'm going to break one time just for y'all and say, I put this on in 20 years, so it's maybe a little tight, but you know, you like that loss. Right? You got one trophy. You want to see 5 come to Dallas. You want to see 4, go up the turnpike to Jersey. But you only go see 1 in Philly. You had a chance to leave with 2. And since you want to boo people before the game, this is your penance. Enjoy it. Your team played their hearts out, and they got you guys booing people instead of, you could at least just go, all right, get off the field. No. We wanted to be Philly fans. We boo. Well, enjoy the boo and enjoy the loss. You earned it.
That was good. That was really good.
I got one more thing to say.
Yeah.
It would be bad on us to not. I want to wish LeBron. I want to say congratulations for breaking the record, but let me get something straight. I got to get something straight.
Don't do that.
I should have added this in.
It's freestyle. It's freestyle. You good?
I had an extra one tonight. I got an extra one tonight. Just because he broke the scoring title, or the record, don't make him the GOAT. Now, let me say this. Let me say the reason I say this. Was Kareem considered the GOAT who had the title?
No.
Okay.
He was not, right? He was not. Okay. And then you look at all the accomplishments that guys like Jordan, Kareem, Wilt, Chamberlain, keep going down the list, keep going. Look at the accomplishment that they have that LeBron, even if you play 5 more years, won't ever get accomplished. He won't ever accomplish it. The defensive awards that Jordan got. Jordan was the defensive player of the year one year as a guard. That normally go to big guys, right? So I'm just tired of seeing all these people out there. I know this young generation, y'all LeBron fans to the core. That's the only person y'all know and y'all see. But please go out and do some studying on Jordan back in the day. He was a dog on that court. And if you think about it, okay, Jordan played 14, 15 years. LeBron's played 20. So I went back and looked at the per year stats, the per game stats. And Jordan got him on every level per game, per season. And then you think about it, if Jordan did play 20 years, if he went out there chasing baseball, if he came out of high school, straight out of high school and went pro, and he played 20 years, Jordan would have had over 45,000 points by the time if he got to 20 years. Think about that. So I ain't taking nothing away from LeBron. He's a great player, great for the generation, great for a lot of things outside of basketball, off the court. He do a lot of great things. But when we come talking about GOAT, and not to mention the kind of defense they played back in the day, physical defense.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the defense they play now. They don't even have a center in the middle of the floor now. Jordan had 7-footers waiting on him, and he even had Jordan rules. You come in the paint, we knock your head off. No, don't need a crying about it. Get up and keep playing. Jordan played Detroit, knowing that they were going to knock his head off, still had 40 in those games, some of those games.
Right.
So my thing is, guys, the game's changed so much. It's so much easier for these guys today to go out there and score. Because now games, when you look at the games, they're 138 to 135. Back in the day, it might be 90 to 88, or it might be 101 to 99 or something like that. But it's ridiculous. These games today look like all-star games. So you telling me Jordan, who in one of his years, he averaged 37 points a game. You telling me Jordan won't come now when you got nobody in the paint? It's easier to get to the rim because that's what Jordan did. Jordan got to the rim. He got to the rim. So you telling me now that he won't come in the game, this game that we know today, and put up 40-something, maybe 50? He will probably have some 60 or 70-point games. He'll probably average 45 easily. And so I want the young people to stop talking LeBron and talking about he the GOAT and all this stuff. Jordan is the GOAT. And really, go look at Kareem's stats. Go look at some of the other guys' stats. The GOAT is so argued, it's argued, but everybody knows Jordan was a special athlete. He was one of the best athletes that ever played the game. And for the people that say he couldn't play today, oh man, you're kidding yourself. This game ain't physical today. Jordan would kill this game today. Nobody could guard him. And here's the thing: if Jordan played LeBron one-on-one 10 times. Jordan may win all 10, but I give him 8. I give him 8 because he played defense. So that's my spiel, guys. Jordan's the GOAT. Let that go. LeBron's a great player. Congratulations, LeBron, on breaking the record. But if Kareem wasn't considered the GOAT with all his accomplishments, then we ain't considering LeBron the GOAT just because he broke Kareem's record after 20 years.
Man, respectfully disagree.
No, listen. I don't do the GOAT thing. I think you have a greatest of your era, and he was the greatest of his era, no doubt about it. But that guy was special, no doubt about it. I just, I found it interesting. He was away with everything on the court. You know what I'm saying? We talk about a lot of things, but that's the only guy I've ever seen punch a guy in the foot and not get kicked out of a game. So think about it. And I know Reggie Miller was upset about that. But
I just want to say I was excited when you put you had AJ's perspective while you were putting the hat on. That was fun. But with what Big Phil just said, I'm hurt, man. Take my name off of that, man. I'm an Ohio boy. I can't be associated with that. Take my name off of that,
man. Thank you. I disagree 1,000%, but this is a football show, so I'll keep it there. LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time, but that's cool.
I've always been one of those dudes, where I appreciate LeBron, I appreciate Michael, I appreciated Dominique Wilkins, I appreciated Dr. J. Like, we didn't have to pick a greatest, man. We just enjoyed the greatness that was out there. So, but Big Phil, you done hurt my feelings, Doc. We gonna pray, bro.
Hey,
to
each his own,
for sure.
But Jordan the GOAT.
Nah, sir. He is not.
Hey, give me your argument, Joe. Joe, give me your argument.
I didn't come prepared for that.
Give me your argument.
Anybody who knows me knows I'm not a Jordan fan at all.
Listen.
Next week, I prepared my statements next week.
Listen, Jordan was a 10-time scoring leader, 7 in a row. 7 in a row, right? Defense, he was 9-time all defensive team. First team, all defense. One defensive, he was the best defensive player one year.
I remember.
So here's the thing I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm a Lakers fan.
I love LeBron. Marv Albert.
He's a great player. But he won't never get those defensive awards that Jordan got. He won't never catch those. He won't never get a defensive player of the year. He won't never get a score. He got one scoring title to his name. So my thing is, it ain't. I expect you to break a record. You play 20 years. He do a good job. I'm telling you what he's a winner at. He's a winner at taking care of his body. That's what he's a winner at. But when you look at per season, per game, Michael Jordan, GOAT.
Yeah,
case closed.
What's next, Jeff?
Bill Russell.
What's next, Jeff? Let's move on, bro.
Yeah, I'll end it with this. I always thought it was an unfair comparison comparing the two because they are two different styles of play. He passed more than Michael Jordan ever did. He still passes way more than Michael never did.
When you can't score, you got to pass.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know about that.
When you ain't a good scorer, you got to pass. If you got a good scorer, you got to pass. Guess what? If you go by per season or per game, how many assists more you think he got than Michael Jordan per game, per season? Two. How many rebounds you think he got more than Jordan per season?
2 per game.
Per game. One. Okay. How many block shots you think he got more than Jordan per game, per season? They tied, 0.8. They both tied. They both 0.8. They 0.8, and Jordan ain't even a big man. Jordan is a guard and got block shots. And then in the playoffs, don't even count the playoffs. He just beat him in the playoffs. So I'm just throwing it all out there. Let's come with an argument.
But they're only
we can have one.
But they're only 2 inches in height different.
But check this out.
6'8".
Jordan.
And Jordan.
Check this out.
Was
LeBron,
way bigger than the guys he was.
Yeah, Jordan's a big guard. Come on, bro.
LeBron.
The average guard when he played was 6'2".
Jordan's
The average
6'6".
guard when he played was 6'2".
Right, he's 6'6".
Jordan 6'6".
That's what I'm saying. The average guard
you better get rebounds.
Playing against was 6'2".
Yeah, you better get rebounds. You better block shots.
But check this out,
man.
Check this out. Hold on. Is LeBron not the biggest small forward to ever play the game?
I don't think he's a forward. I think he's a point guard, personally.
He a forward. Small forward.
No. Durant is bigger than him. Then he's a wing just as well.
Right.
One of the biggest. Hey, no size.
I'll prepare my arguments for a later date.
Hey, y'all can argue all day. Y'all ain't gonna win this. He's supposed to get rebounds. Hey, he's supposed to get rebounds.
This is an argument. Wait till we talk centers.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, we're getting off the rails. It's time to go, man. We've been on for an hour and 15 minutes. There we go. All right. But listen, guys. It's been great talking this regular season, and we got a lot more to talk about. So we'll be back in March. Our first show will be March 7th, I believe it is. Stay tuned for more of the perspective. Hopefully, we get to argue and feel a little bit more because people want to pull away. I'm seeing, even on the internet, somehow people got Phil working somewhere. I'm not going to say it on air, but they got him listed as working somewhere already.
Yeah, they do.
Talk to you about
I saw
that. So anyway, with that being said,
New to me.
Yeah. If you got the job, I don't know about it. So I'm curious.
I was going to be looking for him in the locker room. What's up, Big Phil? Big Phil, what's up?
Hey, that's news to me.
Breaking news here in the perspective.
Hey,
breaking news.
I saw that smile.
Maybe soon.
Well, it's on the internet, so it must be
true. The ink
true.
isn't dry yet. That means the ink isn't. That's what that means.
Hey,
that's what that means. That's what that means.
Just
because
zero.
it's dry on the contract. That's what that.
Just because it's on the internet don't mean it's true.
They missed a couple zeros. I got you.
Big Phil, you went on the internet and got them stats for Jordan, so it must be true.
Nah. Hey, no. Those are real stats.
Oh, here we go.
I hadn't started working yet. Those real stats.
All right.
Don't ever meet LeBron.
Nah, I'm cool with. I have no problem with LeBron. LeBron, good people. Hey.
And speaking of the people, that is the boss, Joe Cardoso, AJ Jones in the house from H-Town, and of course,
Thanks for coming on, AJ. Appreciate it.
Phil
Thank you,
Daniels
Joe.
in the
Appreciate it,
house.
guys.
All right. I am Jeff Barnes. We're going to say goodnight. Absolutely. See you in a few weeks, everybody. Make sure you come back for more of the perspective.